For more resources, visit rymonline.org.
The Local Youth Worker is a daily podcast that's centered on 5 questions each week. Ranging from the practical to the professional, we're looking for answers to the questions you're asking. Whether you're in full-time, part-time, or even volunteer youth ministry, this podcast is for you.
All right, everybody, welcome back. This is our last day with Justin Pillsbury. Justin, it's been fun getting to sit down and catch up with you a bit, go through some of these questions. So today is a question we ask a lot of youth workers about reading. We want to emphasize the importance of reading is the reason why we ask this question. But what book besides the Bible has shaped you the most? It could be more than one book. And then what are some books you're currently reading right now that are helpful? That could be related to youth ministry, doesn't have to be related to youth ministry, just anything you got.
For me, one book that was really influential, my freshman year at TCU, our campus minister spent each week, he and I would go through Knowing God together by J.I. Packer. And obviously is someone who, probably just in the Latin, the 2 years before my freshman year at TCU was Word Reformed Theology. Lord really started ripping my heart with that. It was so helpful to go through that with another minister. It's a book that you're not going to want to try and read in just a couple days. It's not going to be a quick read for most people, and it's okay. It's one that's just great to read a chapter, think, reflect, and then sometimes even go back and reread that chapter. But yeah, J.I. Packer obviously does such a great job laying it out there, and so that's been a book that I've read a couple times, as well as a book that we have passed along to students over the years, many times.
Yeah, that's definitely one of those books to savor for sure.
Yeah.
Like you said, don't rush through it.
Don't hurry through it. And then a book for me, one that would be even newer than Packer's that's been good. Again, one of the things I tell my students is find good authors and read them. And some of those current ones, Tim Keller is one of those. Pick up something he's read. There's no doubt that you're going to be blessed by it. Mm-hmm. And Prodigal God has been that. And as I said before, that saying, believe you're never so bad. You're going to reach a God's grace never so good. You don't stand under need. Prodigal God plays that out so well. Obviously, as you look at the younger brother and the elder brother, and kind of which one do we gravitate towards, and obviously that's kind of usually those are the students that we're ministering to. And so that book was so helpful in that regards of kind of solidifying that saying that I had heard years before from Dustin Salter. Is here's that saying drawn out from Scripture into a book, and so that book has been very helpful. And then a book that I'm rereading again and read for the first time in high school was A.W. Tozer, The Pursuit of Holiness. And so one thing I love is that the end of that book, the end of the chapters, are some of the richest prayers you'll see. It's a short book. I said The Pursuit of God, not The Pursuit of Holiness. Pursuit of Holiness is Jerry Bridges.
Yeah, Jerry Bridges.
The Pursuit of God by A.W. Tozer. It's a short book, but the end, the prayers are about a paragraph long. So rich, so edifying, and will really encourage.
Excellent. So those are 3. You said you read A.W. Tozer high school, and then Knowing God, and the third one, what was it again?
Prodigal God.
Yeah, Prodigal God. That's right. Any other more current now that you're? I know Prodigal God is current
a little
as well.
more current. The other thing, Kevin DeYoung's books. And one of these, again, I enjoy about those is they're not long. Mm-hmm. Whether it's the student or whether it's the adult is picking up any of his books will greatly bless your ministry. And then the other thing that's encouraging too is you're starting to see more books out there in regards to youth ministry that have depth, that have substance. Obviously gospel-centered youth ministry for those wherever you're at in youth ministry, whether it's the first day or whether you've been in it, like we have a little bit longer than 10, 11, 12 years. It's very helpful as well as encouraging. There's other people from across the country that are letting the gospel shape how they do youth ministry.
Yeah, and for those who are unfamiliar, that's Cameron Cole and John Nielsen, I think, edited that, but it's multiple.
Yeah, multiple. That's kind of what's neat is, I guess I'm trying to think if it's maybe 8 or 9 different, folks that contributed to that book. And so you hear these different perspectives.
Yeah.
So a great read, whatever stage you're at in ministry. And then I believe Brian Cosby's is Giving Up the Gimmicks. Was another one from years ago in regards to youth ministry. Was very helpful for us. Even a component of that, with our volunteers at the church, we don't call them volunteers. We call them youth shepherds, just to reinforce that idea that you're coming alongside to shepherd these hearts.
That's good.
And so so I'm very grateful for, books that were written many years ago that have been a blessing to those that, just in recent years.
Yeah. That's a good list for sure, and would echo every book you just threw out there. Is excellent. And piggybacking on what you said about Kevin DeYoung, he's been just how intelligent and thoughtful he is, but how he communicates is so easy to read that you can put those in the hands of teenagers and they can read them very easily,
Absolutely.
very accessible. Those are some good books. Well, anything else you want to add to any of that, Justin?
I think that covers it.
All right. Well, thanks again for taking the time out to answer these questions, and hopefully this has been helpful to those that are listening.
I'm glad to do it.
Thanks so much for tuning in this week to the Local Youth Worker. As always, we hope you've been encouraged and equipped in your call as youth workers. If you take time to rate this podcast on iTunes, that would greatly help us. As always, we want to thank Joe Deegan for providing the music and encourage you to go out and purchase his newest CD, Cover and Title Page, which you can find at iTunes. See you guys next week. Have a great weekend.
Oh, come and buy without money. Oh, come and feast without pay.